It's Corso and Catone.
Listen, Mark, hold on. When I say, would you have caffeine today?
What the hell is that up to?
Presented by Special Sauce Podcast, Studio 42 Design, and Corso Law Group. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth, and you're joining us on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast. You can catch us, and make sure you're giving us a call. Heated Hotline's back today, Mark, right?
So, yes, finally. Got sick of listening to you. We had to liven it up a little bit.
Attaboy. Mark's in full throat today. So 855-313-PATS, 24/7. Leave us a message. Joe's going to pick the one he likes, and let's hope it's yours. So 855-313-7287. Got a great show today. A lot of things coming back today. And Weekly Rewind. Going to go back through the playoff Super Wildcard weekend, talk about some of those games, and then some of the games coming up in the divisional round this weekend. And, of course, Heated Hotline, we're going to hear from one of you in the nation. And Catone's comments. Stick around. Obviously, you can hear he's in full voice already, so I can't even imagine what he's going to present in Catone's comments later on in the show. And B's and C's are back. Going to talk Bruins and Celtics. Both of those teams are on fire. We'll get to all of that, gentlemen. How's the week been?
Miserable. It's rained for about 13 out of the last 14 days over here.
I will say, I will concur with his miserable attitude. Yep.
It's been nice here. I mean,
of course it's nice. It's sunshine out there.
Actually, it has rained, but nevertheless, I'll take this good weather over the heat. So, listen, guys, we got a good show today. As I said, we got a lot to get to, and so let's do that. We're gonna go Weekly Rewind. Joe, are we ready? Going back through the week. About a weekly rewind. So I guess we are ready, right, Mark? Going back a week ago, Super Wildcard weekend, and first, before we get into a couple of these games and looking at some of these teams, do you think it's too many games? Was it too many playoff games, or you take all you can get?
No, I like it. I like it. In actuality, Chris, I would have rather have had 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday, do one 4:30 and 8 o'clock on Sunday. Same thing Saturday, do 1, 4, 8. Forget the Monday night game. That I think is a little too much. Now you're drawing it out to a third day. You're going to do all those games, 2 days, pack the weekend. It's great football. Monday was a little much. At that point, you're like, okay, another game. But,
So you didn't like watching Brady, look collapse looking like he was. Well,
yeah, he looked like he was 102, but it was the game was also like watching paint dry.
Yeah, it really was. It was bad.
It was a game to watch aesthetically.
I'll tell you what, the games were better than I thought they would be competitively.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were competitive. Even the Seattle San Fran game was competitive for about 2.5 quarters, right? Like midway through that third quarter, it was still competitive. And then San Fran put their foot on the pedal and pulled away. But
yeah. And they're the best. To me, they're the best team left.
Yeah.
I mean, they're top to bottom. You think?
No,
I mean, quarterback,
absolutely.
obviously, they got the rookie, but
I told you that weeks ago, but that was when Garoppolo was there. I said, this is the team that's going to put the run together. They should be the favorites to win this thing. And lo and behold, they are, but Garoppolo's not there. It's Purdy.
Right. And so, hey, but you're putting the young kid behind a Ferrari, kind of like Castle in 08.
Why not? Right.
When Brady got hurt.
Right.
You're putting by Ferrari. Ferrari should be able to play. And the Giants, man, boy, did they show up. That team, let me tell you, that's to me like one of the most likable teams out of everybody who's left, because they're playing for day ball, aren't they? They're just tough-nosed, gritty kind of football, aren't they?
Well, when we get to I was going to ask you when we get to the breakdown of the matchups for this week. I'll hold my comment off and my question to you until we get to the breakdown of the Philly game. But yeah, they're playing for Daboll. Gee, isn't it interesting when you got a coach who can motivate guys and guys will rally around and enjoy playing for that isn't 102 years old?
Amazing, isn't it? How that happens?
Yeah,
it's amazing. And with the Cowboys, you kind of aren't you just waiting for the other shoe to drop with them?
Yeah, I am.
Is it?
Yeah.
Kind of feel like
dropping. Listen, it's dropping this week. Trust me.
Well, hey, listen, in this segment, we're gonna get to our Sunday spread as well, and give you some of our
Chris,
locks of the week.
So let me ask you this. Now you watched all the games. Obviously, we all did. So let's quickly talk about that Buffalo game, the Buffalo Miami game.
Yeah.
What did you think of Buffalo? What did you think of Buffalo in that? Like, in all honesty, I think you and I kept talking during the game saying, but this coach from Miami, it's too big of a moment for him. Like Chris noticed his hand was shaking, holding, the play sheet. I mean,
if the coach didn't wet himself,
beatable,
in my opinion,
Chris.
They are beatable. And to me, if the coach didn't wet himself, and not understand, I mean, look, you got a rookie playing in the playoffs. They've had so much issue with their quarterbacks in Miami, but you got Skylar Thompson playing. As a coach and a play caller, you have to know that this kid needs good 10 seconds to 15 seconds on the play clock when he reaches the line of scrimmage to survey what's happening, even more so than anyone else, because he's probably seen things he's never seen before. So, yeah, I think if the coach doesn't wet himself, I think Miami wins the game. I really do. I don't like and drops too, right?
Waddle and Hill drop balls that they don't typically drop.
Right. And Waddle got dinged up a little bit with his wrist in that game. And so, no, I was not impressed, but you haven't been for a long time. I wasn't impressed with Buffalo at all in this game. And I think, we could talk about the next game.
I think if Tua played, Chris, Miami would have definitely won the game. If Tua played?
I agree with that. And I think Buffalo, I think they get a lot of calls. I do. I think they get a lot of calls, and I think that they got them in the New England game. Not that was the reason, but they got them in the New England game, and then they got them in the Miami game too. And they're they're going to be playing this game at home coming up. But yeah, they're beatable. I mean, anybody who said, what about the people that say this is the New England Patriots?
Although, how can they say that? They haven't won anything. What if they won to be compared? And I know the idiots on the flagship, I know the idiots like to say that. One particular idiot who Murray will remain nameless. Anyways, okay? So, how can you compare them to the New England Patriots and call them the new Patriots? They've won nothing. Nothing. And then the other idiot, Tony Romo, is comparing Allen during the game to guys like Brady in key situations. What has he ever won to be compared to Mahomes and Brady? He was comparing him to Mahomes and Brady. He's never won anything. Those guys have rings. They have rings. Tony, something you don't have, Tony. So I'm assuming he's making that comparison because he don't have a ring either. So, he's trying to boost his own ego. But what has he ever won, Chris?
Nothing. Hey, Tony Romo. They had to wake him up, too. Tony Romo was over there doing those Corona commercials. He had to stick with that. He, he couldn't even handle a snap in his playoff game.
I like it.
Come on. Come on. So there's no anybody who compares Buffalo to the New England Patriots during that run is an absolute moron and knows nothing about football. Nothing.
No. Joe, what were you saying?
I like Tony though. I like the flair he brings because he gives like a sort of like understandable response to like what's happening on the field, but from a loser's perspective that like we can now understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mark. I mean, the New England Patriots. People forget when it hit November. You weren't beating that team. You were not beating. If you beat the Patriots after November, it was a Herculean effort by you, and you certainly weren't going into Foxborough and beating that team. So, and so I thought, yeah, Miami had a good chance to win that game, and to me, they probably should have won that game.
They
given
should have
all
won
the
it.
other circumstances that went on in their room. But
Hey, Chris,
and then
the
the
other
other game,
that I
yeah,
thought was
Cincinnati.
interesting was that Cincinnati game.
Well, what do you make of that? Because you and I mean, I'm on the bandwagon now. You've been beating that Cincinnati drum for 2 years now,
Yeah.
and so I'm there. I'm with you. I will say though that the performance I thought was going to be a little stronger in this game.
Yeah.
Than it
No,
was.
you're right. You're right. But I think, Chris, Baltimore can do that to you. Baltimore plays ugly, right? They drag you in the mud with them. They turn it into a rock fight and a mud fight, right? And that's what he does. And I can't stand Harbaugh. You know that. But he's good at he plays a certain style, and he gets his teams to force the other team the majority of the time to play their style. And if you beat them, you're going to have to beat them in a rock fight, a mud fight. That's just how they play. And defensively, Chris, Baltimore's got a better defense than Buffalo. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So Baltimore has Peters and Humphrey, and they got a couple of other guys in the secondary. They got a decent secondary. They got a good pass rush, linebackers. They can play defense. Their problem is on the other side of the ball. So, plus, there's a familiarity where this is the third time you're facing a team, Chris. Yeah. The second time in 2 weeks, they just played them the week before.
Yeah, that's tough. Playing a team 3 times in a season is tough. They went 1-1
twice
in
in 2 weeks, Chris.
Yeah, that's always a tough call. They know them very well. I expect different. So, getting to this week now, getting to this weekend, today's games, and of course Sunday's games. You got 4 games on the list. You got Jacksonville, Kansas City, Cincy, Buffalo, New York, Giants, Philly, and Dallas, San Fran. So taking these in order, Jacksonville, Kansas. I mean, is there, they're a 9-point favorite, Kansas City. I mean, is there any reason to discuss this game?
No, Jacksonville's going to get the doors blown off them.
And I'll tell you what, I think that the coach, Jacksonville's coach, I think is a definite candidate for coach of the year along with Detroit's, Campbell in Detroit.
Chris, when we were on our magical runs, right, everybody used to say, the Patriots, they're going to have the best record, the 1 seed or the 2 seed, many times the 1 seed. The first game out of the playoffs is the tomato can game. That's what they used to call it, the tomato can game. Well, that's what Kansas City got. They got the tomato can game, and then you go to the AFC Championship. So I just think they're going to roll. I mean, I know you're right. Peterson's up for coach of the year, but I think Jacksonville's going to get blown out.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the clock struck 12, but give them credit. I mean, to do what they did and come back after the start they had.
How is the coach from the LA Chargers have a job still? He must have pictures of the owner doing something.
And they hung everybody else out to dry except
the
the guy that they should. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be more of the same next season because that team, the Chargers, should be a hell of a lot better. They should be easily challenging Kansas City for that division because in many ways,
absolutely,
I think they're in some ways, I think they're better than Kansas City as far as talent goes. But the coach sucks. So so there's that. But with the time we got left, though, the NFC games are fine, but I want to talk about the Cincinnati Buffalo game because that's of interest to New England fans. That's our interest.
Yep.
I don't see any chance. I don't see any way Buffalo, I don't care where they're playing the game. I don't see any way Buffalo beats this team just from a football standpoint. Do you?
I don't. And I think Cincinnati's going in there, Chris, with a huge chip on their shoulder. I mean, they're not going to say it necessarily publicly. I think they're pissed off. I think they feel disrespected. Listen, they had the lead in that game in Cincinnati. They were driving to go up 14-3 in that game in Cincinnati. And then all of a sudden, the game gets canceled. Rightfully so. The game should have been canceled. However, if you're playing the AFC Championship, if it's Buffalo and Kansas City on a neutral field, how are you not playing this game on a neutral field when if Cincinnati wins that game, you have the same record. Cincinnati owns a tiebreaker. Cincinnati's the 2 seed. I don't know how the NFL did not allow this game, if it was a matchup, to be on a neutral field. It's amazing to me. And Cincinnati they are pissed, believe me, because you'll get hearing some reports coming out of there. They're pissed, and they're going in with a huge chip on their shoulder.
Well, the coach questioned it. He did question it. He did the right. He absolutely did the right thing that Monday night. The coach did. But then when the decisions were made about the playoff, scenarios and what they would do, the format, he voiced it, and I don't blame them. So they're walking in there with lots of that. And just from a football standpoint, though, Mark, what answer does Buffalo have for Chase, Higgins, Boyd?
They don't. And if they're healthy, and I believe they're healthy, Buffalo secondary, listen, because of the injury to Hamlin, they're down to their third safety, right?
Right.
The secondary did not look good the last couple of weeks. I mean, Jesus, New England was moving the ball on them, right?
Right. Which should tell you all you need to know.
Which should tell you all you need to know about that defense, right? They blamed it on mental preparation and they weren't 100% in the game, Buffalo. I get that. But listen, you have called out this trend over the last 6 or 7 weeks. You've been saying every week, but look at their defense, Mark. They're not that good on defense. And you've been saying that for 6 or 7 weeks. So they're not, Chris. I have no idea how they're going to keep this game. Listen, for them to win this game, Allen is going to have a Herculean effort because they're going to have to probably score 40 to beat Cincinnati because Cincinnati's going to move up and down the field, I think, on this team.
Believe it or not, they've now in this game turned into the team that's got to play keep away. Normally when they walk into a game, other teams have got to play keep away, keep Buffalo's offense off the field. That mindset has got to change, and I'm not sure if the coaches are good enough and smart enough and astute enough to understand that they're not controlling the deck in this game. I mean, Cincinnati. Look, before that awful scene happened and that injury, Cincinnati was coming down the field again against Buffalo with ease. I mean, they sliced through them that first series with no issue, and then we're coming right back down.
That game was going to be a blowout.
I believe it too, and I don't think this one's going to be any different. Yeah, get the crowd and all that, but you can shut those people up pretty easy, over
Chris,
there.
The one thing nobody's talking about, look at what Daboll has done with that quarterback for the Giants.
Oof.
Is anybody talking about how much Allen misses Daboll? Because he's not the same quarterback, Chris, as he's been the last couple of years.
That's a great point. Once in a while, Joey,
every now and again, you have to prove to the fans
what Daboll's done, Chris, with Daniel Jones.
Yeah. And because Daniel Jones, I mean, we said it when
Joe Judge really screwed him up.
I said it in the offseason. You guys remember? I'm like, this guy's going to need therapy for the rest of his life because of Joe Judge. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, he comes out and has this kind of year. Oh yeah, I mean, it's an indictment on Joe Judge, but it's also a kudo to Daboll as well to get that kid's head back right again so quickly. So I mean, I like Cincinnati in that game too. I don't think Buffalo's got enough offensively, honestly, to stick with them. I don't. And I think, look, Buffalo's going to have to get pressure with 4. They have to. You can't man up, bring pressure, and turn your back. You can't do it because Joe Burrow doesn't care, man. Nothing phases that kid.
No.
You go one-on-one with Chase, you're in a lot of trouble.
This is going to be the game, Chris, where they're really going to miss Von Miller coming off the edge because he would in a game like this, Von Miller usually comes up with a couple of key sacks or pressures, right? Yeah. That's a big loss for them, especially in a game like this. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Cincinnati's defense is that good, Chris, but I do think, and you and I talked about this 2 weeks ago, if anything came out of that New England game for the rest of the league, and you kept bringing this up during the game, and then we brought it up on the post game after we lost, that the pressure package that the Patriots came up with in that game, Chris, was so impressed with.
I was, man.
I really think it gave the rest of the league the blueprint on, hey, this is how you have to get pressure on this kid. Because you noticed Miami last week doing some of the same things.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I mean, they're bringing edge pressure on a 90-degree angle, so you're keeping him in that pocket and you're pressing the middle. And they were able to do it with 4. So if you could get that done with 4, Buffalo's in some trouble. So listen, and we want to get the heated hotline, but I want to go Sunday spread. We could talk about those lines in the other 2 games, the NFC games, because those are interesting as well. But Mark, going Sunday spread here and trying to make these people some money, for the last couple of weeks. First of all, do you have a lock here? And talking about that Giants Philly game, 7.5, Philly giving up, and Dallas San Fran giving up 4. What do you make of those two games, and do you have a lock?
My lock of the week, Chris, is San Fran giving 4 to Dallas. Listen, you said, like everyone said, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop with Dallas. But listen, for anybody who thinks any differently, and this one's for you, Joe, Dallas beat the Little Sisters of the Poor on Monday night. I don't know if anybody realizes what they beat. That's who they beat. That line should be 9-10 points, San Fran. San Fran is going to destroy the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. I think they're playing, right? They're going to destroy them.
Well, you heard it here first. You heard it here. That's the prediction.
And you can take that money to the bank.
What do you think? Before I give my lock, what do you think of that Giants Philly game? Because remember, that's the third time around now, too.
I wanted to ask you, do you think this could be a little bit of 07, 2012 type of Giant team? They're catching fire with this coach. Could they surprise everybody and win the NFC? Could they win the NFC?
The way they play, they can play keep away. They have a great running back. They got a good running game. They got a good short passing game that amounts to basically an extension in your run game. I think their defense is sound. I don't know that they're going to be able to hang with those receivers in Philly. But, hey, the wild card in all this, Mark, is what's Jalen Hurts going to look like? This is his first opportunity to really show. And when it really, really matters, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? So it is. I tell you what, if the Giants get through this game, San Fran, look out, because that's that team again. There it is. Better them than us, right? And then my lock of the week is Cincinnati. I mean, they're getting 5.5 points, and I thought that line should have been. I get Buffalo's favored, but I thought that line should have been 2. Judging from what we saw at the beginning of that Cincy game, Buffalo game, I think everybody got it. I think everybody or Vegas look at what happened against Baltimore last week with Cincinnati, and they weren't feeling it. What they not taking into account is that third time around playing that team. Baltimore's tough like that, like you said. To me, 5.5 is a gift. That's a gift. You take Cincinnati, you take those points all day. That line should be 2-3 points, and that's it. So basically a pick. So that was our Sunday spread. And look, it's time, right, to hear from one of you in the nation. We haven't done this in a while. And Heated Hotline, Joe, let's have it.
Hey, Real Deal. This is Steve in Denver, Colorado. I love the show. Following up on your segment last week about the possibility of Brady returning to the Patriots, I love the idea. I think it'd be fantastic ratings. It'd be through the roof. But even if they could set aside all the egos to bring him back somehow, the problem is, in large part, Brady left because he was tired of carrying the offense and having no weapons around him. If he were to come back, what is he coming back to? I think he's coming back to the same problem. And he just went through a season where they struggled to even score 10, 13, 15, 16 points a game. They'd have to load up on so many weapons to make it attractive to him. I just don't see it happening. The Raiders are a much better option for him. What do you guys think? Thanks.
Steve, thank you for the call. A loyal listener. We've heard from Steve throughout the years a lot. So why are our listeners so astute? Why, you know what I mean? Like they really, they challenge us, Mark. They really, really do.
Steve was right on. Steve's right on.
What do you think?
He's right. You're not both, and he's absolutely right. That's why they're astute, because they are listening to Corso and Catone.
That's because we are. They're a reflection of us, right?
Yeah,
we're like stepping fetch over here. Me and this guy,
right?
Well, Mark, he's right though, isn't he? I mean,
this guy, Joe.
He's right though. I mean, what's the sell? What's the sale to Brady to say, hey, come on over? Other than the fact that, hey, Brady, you didn't look so hot on Monday night, but
well, the caller is right, Chris. You would probably have to sit Brady down, but also you would probably have to say, hey, listen, don't make any decision about where you want to go until you see what we do. And you'd have to go trade for a guy maybe like Hopkins or someone, similar to him. The guy that I want them to trade for, as I was going through different scenarios, is Jerry Jeudy, because he's on the last year of his rookie contract. He's played with Mac Jones. The kid's ready to be a breakout star. But we'll get to that. He's
never gotten his chance. He's never gotten his chance in Denver because he doesn't have anybody. I'd
bring in. But when we talk more about the Patriots, I'm going to get into that. I like him. Anyways, but you'd have to bring in weapons. He's right. Because otherwise, what are you coming into? The same. Another receiver not called N'Keal Harry, but it's N'Keal Harry all over again. I think our defense is better than it was when he left. But offensively, who's he throwing the ball to? I mean, he's got a good running back. The offensive line is a mess. He just ran 16 weeks of running for his life in Tampa because their offensive line was a mess because of injuries. He's going to come here and do the same thing. Like, I think he's 100% right. What would make this attractive to him? I know we talk about it and we joke about it, but in actuality, what would be the draw for Brady to come here? Egos aside.
I mean, look, the finish what I started thing, maybe. And again, I'm searching now. So I mean, you're asking me. So the finish what I started.
I purposely put this heated hotline on because that was my question to you guys last week. As to aside from those other things you're talking about, which he's always asked for, is those weapons. But he's at the tail end of his career, and we know it. But whatever happened to the idea that you come and retire at the establishment that you created an empire with? You know what I mean? Isn't that an incentive? But no, not anymore.
I think there's something to be said for that. And maybe in the fact that he sees what's going on over here with Kraft, and Kraft's now inserting himself. Well, just like we've gotten more information this past week, and we're going to get that out in a second, about who they're interviewing, coaches. They're going to pick this one, that one. They're going to, Mayo's going to get extended. Things that we've never seen coming out of the Patriots. And maybe he looks at that and says, Kraft's inserted himself now. They're going to spend money. They have 30. They're on 35 under. They're going to do things now. Maybe want to do that. I got ties to the community. My kids are on the East Coast. They're not on the West Coast. That's a big deal too, because now with all the, I don't know what the logistics are of his family life. But that all being said, Mark, the best fit for him is Vegas.
Yeah, it is. Well,
there's less to do there. There's less to do.
Well, he has his OC there, his friend. Yeah. You have Devontae Adams. You have Renfro will catch 110 passes in the slot with him. You have the tight end. You got the running back. You got a defense that needs a couple of upgrades. The defense is workable. They do definitely need upgrades. It is definitely a better situation for him, I think, than here. I think to the caller's point, why would he come back here?
More importantly, though, Mark, there's an opening at quarterback. There's no real controversy at quarterback. Derek Carr's gone. What are you going to do? What do you badge Stidham? That's the only person that's in the room. So, it's a plug and play situation in Vegas versus over here. There's just so many checks to have to go through to make it palatable to him.
No, there absolutely is. There's an open seat that he can walk himself into. He's got a coach he's familiar with. He's got a GM that he's familiar with. It is a perfect situation for him. However, after watching the game Monday night.
Oh, I know. You're going to ask. Yeah.
Does he really got in the tank? I mean, okay, is he that much of an upgrade? Like, I'm not talking like Mac Jones. I'm talking Vegas. Okay, you had Derek Carr. The Tom Brady I saw Monday night. Oh, hold the phone now. He looked awful Monday night, Chris. I get people are saying it, and you're one of them. He don't want to get hit. He don't want to get hit because he's saving himself for free agency. Chris, I think it was like he was seeing ghosts. Like the comment the Jets quarterback made that time. I don't know, Chris. He looked he looked like a guy that had to steal Max Kellerman's line 1 foot off the cliff, and he was about to go down it. He definitely looked different this year, Chris, older than he did last year.
We've seen this. We've seen this act before. We've seen it before.
Okay.
We've seen Brady,
but not at 46 years old. He's going to be 46.
No, but we've seen him making business decisions before. Look, out on the field in 2019. Okay, you saw a Tom Brady that was disconnected. He was done in New England.
He was disconnected Monday night.
He was done in New England. He was seeing hits that weren't there. He was getting rid of balls quicker than he needed to. He wasn't hanging in the pocket. That's what I saw on Monday night. Guy that was just bailing out of a lot of plays. And to me, I saw that before out of him. And then I also saw him followed up with a Super Bowl run. So to me, it's more about business decisions that night, because I think the writing was on the wall for him. And by the way, New England went to a playoff game that in 19 too against Tennessee. And he was still doing the same crap. So, I mean, when Brady, to me, at his age, when he checks out in his brain and says, I'm not an idiot, I think he's got a couple more seasons left, because I think he knows how to protect himself. And yeah, and by the way, for those of people who think San Francisco is an option, forget it. If San Fran brings Tom Brady in their house, their whole quarterback situation is dysfunctional to begin with right now with Lance. What the hell's going to happen? You bring Brady in. Now what are you doing with Purdy?
Chris,
what are you doing?
It's not even bringing Brady in. Shanahan, Chris, has a system that he runs there that is not flexible. He's not changing it for Tom Brady. He don't give a shit who you are.
No.
So, and especially if they wouldn't go to the Super Bowl this year, Brady's not going to go in there at 46 years old and learn an entirely different offense, all different terminology, and run things that he may not necessarily be comfortable with. I'm telling you where his options are going to be. It's Vegas. As crazy as it sounds, I'll throw us in. It's here. They bring in Bill O'Brien. He knows them. It's Miami, which no one's talking about.
Yeah.
It's Miami because you said the East Coast. He's real close to the East Coast. His kids live in Florida. It's Miami.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Tua is ever going to play again with the concussion. Just put that in the back of your mind. Or
he says it though, you know.
Listen, or it's retirement. Those are your three options: Vegas, New England, Miami, retirement. And I'll tell you what, Chris. I'll tell you what, Chris. Forget San Fran. Forget any other team that you mentioned. It's going to be one of those three teams. And I'll tell you this: if you put him with Hill and Waddle, maybe he'll drink from the fountain of youth.
Listen.
Maybe.
What the hell is he going to listen? Why the hell he got divorced because he wouldn't retire? Now all of a sudden he's going to retire? What the frig? Well, that doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. No, this dude's coming back. He's coming back. But Mark, Cole's right. Shifting to New England now, no, they don't have the talent. And where are they compared to the teams that are left? Who's calling the plays? Who's going to be calling the plays? Who's the OC? Who's happening? So look, this week we heard they were going to be interviewing offensive coordinators, right? And so on that list, you had obviously Bill O'Brien, Keenan McCardell, okay, who played with the Patriots, but was he's the wide receivers coach at Minnesota, right? Nick Caley, in-house tight end, and Adrian Clem, which was a name that I was not expecting, but he's over there in Oregon. Played for
Belichick drafted him, right, Chris?
First draft pick ever in New England was Adrian Clem, and Thursday added to the list was Jefferson, the wideout coach for the Cardinals, and Thursday they actually interviewed Bill O'Brien. So he seems to be the favorite. So,
could
what are we
Jefferson
doing here?
be linked to Hopkins?
Maybe. Possibly. I don't know that it'll be that difficult to go get DeAndre Hopkins anyway. They're going to want to trade him. We definitely have 11 picks.
The problem with DeAndre Hopkins, Chris, is, and we talked about this over the weekend, the problem with DeAndre Hopkins is two things the Patriots never want to do. Belichick don't want to give up draft picks, and Kraft don't want to pay for a top flight receiver. Well, you're going to have to do both to get Hopkins. You're going to have to pay and you're going to have to give up draft picks to get him, which we can't draft a receiver, so you might as well just pretend like you gave up the draft. That's your wide receiver pick. Yeah.
It's only a third.
But you're going to have to renegotiate the contract because Kraft will never pay what he's making.
His base is $19-20 million.
Kraft's not paying that.
Patriots paying a friggin' wide receiver $20 million.
Kraft's
Never.
not paying that money, Chris. So you'd have to either renegotiate or you'd have to have Arizona pick up some of the bill, and I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, look, out of some of these, and there's some other names on the list, and I wanted to get to that, but some of the other names on the list that Allen trade for the Chargers, who may be a better fit, in New England. Although, is he really the one that you're thinking about?
Chris,
Is he a one?
Telling you,
is he
I
a
threw
one?
out in our last segment,
I know,
Jerry
Judy
as who I want. That's who I want.
Nobody's saying that. So,
and Chris,
you heard that.
I think you can get him. Because he's going to leave. He's not going back there. He's got 1 year left on his rookie contract. He's going to be a free agent, and he's going to be out of there. So you can pry him out of there now for a draft pick, and they'll take something for him because they gave up all those damn picks to get Wilson. They'll recoup a pick back, and they'll give you Jerry Jeudy. Believe me.
Okay, but backing up to the offensive coordinator spot. Okay, so. You got all these guys I just mentioned. Does it bother you? Because it bothers me that none of these guys have touched a quarterback before. None of these guys have coached quarterbacks before. You know that, right?
O'Brien has.
He wasn't a quarterback's coach. No.
He was Brady's quarterback coach, I think, for a year before he became OC.
I have to go and look at that. I'm not sure about that. But
none of the
I know for sure that none of the other guys have ever coached.
I thought, Chris, he was the quarterback's coach when McDaniels went to Denver, then became the OC.
I say, why not? Because you have a defensive coach to come and be the offensive coordinator this past season. And we've never done that. Nobody else does that, but we've done that. So why not, Chris?
Man.
Why not?
Listen, because we got a quarterback situation here, and we got a guy that really got, he got thrown to the wolves last season, and now he needs somebody, besides Joe Judge. And these guys haven't coached quarterbacks. Not to say they can't do it. They have, but Keenan McCardell, I don't understand this Adrian Clem thing. I'm not interested in that. But McCardell, Jefferson, I will say, Mark, that this group it's eclectic. I mean, it's more of a variety than I've seen them before. But you notice that all of them have a tie to him,
Chris,
though.
McConnell, they claim, Chris, was really influential in taking just the incredible raw talent that the receiver Jefferson has in Minnesota and turning him into a real route runner. Great. Let him replace friggin' Branch. Let him replace Troy Brown then. Yeah. I don't want him as my OC, but,
Well, and the other thing, too, is McCardell's got a link. They wanted to run this offense, this new offense that New England was trying to run. Well, he's got a link there. I mean, he's got Shanahan heritage in there. He does. Out of when he was in Washington. He's with O'Connell, who was with McVay, and they run the same kind of offense. So, there is that kind of draw there. But to me, the favorite is Bill O'Brien.
Well, Chris, allegedly they interviewed O'Brien today. If they interviewed him already, I'll be shocked if he's not the choice, Chris.
Yeah, and we're recording on Thursday, so that's when they.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's when they interviewed him, was Thursday, and then they were bringing in Jefferson on Friday. So by the time you all see this, they'll have already interviewed Jefferson. So again, I don't think the decision will be made before you see the show anyway. But I don't know. To me, the safe pick is O'Brien. I mean, I think that he can settle things down. But again, all these guys, Mark, are Belichick. They have a tie to Belichick.
Listen, you knew that. Why, are you surprised by that?
Although I will say, you'd have to go pretty. Belichick's been around this for forever. He's been a coach involved in this in the league, and it's going to be hard. You're hard pressed to find guys that don't have some sort of tie at some stage. But I do like it. I think it's a variety of guys. I think it will be O'Brien, and I think that'll be good for Mac Jones. I just hope that they give him the autonomy to get guys, to take get players. And we'll see what happens in free agency.
Chris, so you need your OC in before free agency. So are they going to allow O'Brien to say, hey, Jerry Jeudy fits my system better than DeAndre Hopkins. I want him. Try to go pry him out of there. I want this guy. Because, Chris, this wide receiver class in the draft is weak. It's not what it was the last 3 years. You had great receiver classes the last 3 years.
Yeah.
This one isn't one. Next year, you got a great receiver class coming out. You got guys like Harrison and there's a couple of other guys from Tennessee, but those guys aren't draft eligible yet.
No, free agency's worse.
From Georgia, those guys will be out in next year's draft. But this wide receiver draft is not good.
No, and the free agency class
doesn't mean you can't get a number one in this draft. But with our track record, you're not.
Yeah, and the free agency class is even worse than that.
So
you to me, you're going to take a tackle. You're going to take. I don't like it, but you're going to have to take a tackle with that pick, and you probably should. With what they, if they had any brains, they go sign Orlando Brown for one side, and they go draft the best tackle they can find. And honestly, Mark, they're probably going to roll back out with what they had, thinking that O'Brien will make a difference. I don't know. We'll see. Kraft seems pretty pissed off. So, Heated Hotline was presented by Special Sauce Podcast. What's your special sauce? SpecialSaucePodcast.com. Hey, when we come back, buckle up. Catone's comments is next.
Special Sauce Podcast. You liking the sauce? The sauce is good, man.
This is start off as finance train them, trust them, and let them lead.
With your host, Marcus Aurelius. Tune in to Special Sauce Podcast, wherever you podcast. What's your special sauce? Time for Catone's Comments!
Okay, so listen, I know there's plenty of people out there who are married, they got pets. I get it, right? But if you have a wife and a pet, it's not easy. It definitely is not easy. And let me explain to you why it's not easy. First of all, listen, let me preface this by saying my wife is the best. She's my rock. I'd be dead somewhere if it wasn't for my wife. God bless my wife. However,
I agree with that.
I
agree.
However,
with that.
yeah, leave me alone. This is my segment. However, so my wife, extremely light sleeper. So in order for her to go to bed at night, she's going to put the TV on. Not that she's watching it, just for the background noise. She's got the TV on. She's going to go on her phone. She's going to play those games. I don't know what game she's playing, right? She's going to do different things to sleep, and she's a light sleeper. Now, me, I watch TV. I'm in another room. I'm watching TV. When it's time for me to go to bed, I go to bed, boom, like dead, like a rock. That's it. I don't need the TV on. I don't need any of this stuff, right? But her, very light sleeper. You move over in bed with the sheets. She feels, hears everything. Smell honey, do you smell something? Well, it's 3:00 in the morning. I don't smell anything. What do you smell? What, fire? What? Like, she's like the bionic woman. She's like the bionic woman. Christ's sakes. Hears things, smells. I don't know. But extremely light sleeper. Well, listen, I'm on a lot of medication. At my age, I got to get up 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I got to go to the bathroom. I try not to move. I try to slide out without moving anything so she don't wake up. I got to be like Houdini, like I'm performing some kind of magic trick to get out of bed. I get up. Oh, is that you? Yeah, I'm up. I got to go to the bathroom. What do you want from me? I get up. I got a dog. Dog's name is Toby. Toby, he hears her voice. He's up now. He thinks it's time to go outside and go to the bathroom. He thinks it's time to get up. So now it's 2:30 in the morning. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to take him out. He's going to pee. Okay. I take him out. Now I bring him back in. Now he thinks it's time for food. It's breakfast. This is 3:00 in the morning. I'm playing this game. Okay. Now I finally go back to bed. The dog wants to get on the bed because now he's up. Okay, he's on the bed. He's banging you. He's on your head. He's right. He's breathing on you. You don't know if you're hoping it's breath. It's not gas from somewhere else. I don't know. Right? This is what you got to deal with. I love my wife. I got a dog. Wonderful. Wonderful to have an animal. Between her, the dog, who invented that combination of things? I don't know. It's insanity. Absolute insanity in my house. It's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. That's it. That's why who invented it? Tell me, Joe and Chris, who invented that combination?
The dog and wife combo. Like it was an option.
The dog and wife combo. Well, I've seen. Listen, Joe. I've seen this guy sleeping. I've seen pictures of this guy sleeping on a chair, a kind of folding chair, in the middle of the night, drooling on himself with a bottle of bourbon still in his hand, and he's cocked over but he keeps the thing and he never spills a drop. So, Mike, why don't you just leave her alone? My question to you is, why do you have to sleep? Why go sleep in a different room? You know what you need? You need to get like what was that show? The Dick Van Dyke Show. 2 beds in the same room. Whoever decided that you have to sleep with your spouse in the same bed? Who made that rule? Why?
You guys just made this show.
You're scoring
50.
You're scoring a lot of points tonight with Angela.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, you get to 2 beds, a nightstand in the middle, just like you were growing up with your brother in the same.
Yeah,
and you freaking, and that's it. It's a problem solved. You take the dog, you put the dog in the backyard, not in the snow or anything, but you put the dog over there, and now you problem solved. Leave her alone, Mark. Seriously. What are you complaining? What are you complaining about?
Put up the graphics that animals and humans have been hurt by the content of this production. Come on, nobody.
No, listen. I love my dog. I'm just saying it's very.
It sounds like it.
Sometimes it's very difficult sometimes because there's a lot of craziness going on, and it just happens to be 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you sound like you got a lot of love for that dog. Right now, doesn't it sound like it, Joe? Like he loves that dog unconditionally.
Listen, we got this dog during COVID, but everybody wanted my daughter wants the dog, this and that. We get the dog. Everybody's gonna do everything. Who takes care of the dog? Me.
Of course.
Everything. I do everything with the dog. Everything. That dog.
That poor man. That poor dog. Oof.
Yeah.
Imagine, Joe. Imagine your life contingent on Mark taking care of you.
Wait, what?
Right now,
you said
like imagine your life.
You said
your
life and Mark and taking care of that. I think it just negates one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Leave him alone, Mark. Leave everybody alone in your house. You know what I mean? You're the biggest pain in the ass to deal with. Come on. Who are you kidding? And by the way, I've spoken to you and it's 3, 4 in the morning. You're still up. You're still over there. You don't need any sleep. Don't go to sleep. That's it. So good stuff, Mark. Catone's comments was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal. I can't stop laughing at it. Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, when we come back, we're bringing it back. B's and C's, Celtics, Bruins. That's coming up right after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. And hey, listen, it's been a while. They're halfway through the season. Now it's time to start talking about them. B's and C's, Joe, let's have it. I like that, Joe.
I like that
that.
new look,
That's
Joe.
That's
You
nice.
know,
like
a
it.
little teaser,
You
you know,
should-
get people involved.
Yeah. Why don't you play that music for your wife so she can, mellow out and fall asleep, Mark,
Hey,
But-
please.
You have like an animal near her like you in the middle of the night. No wonder why she can't sleep. Anyway, listen, they're about halfway through the season, and hey, look, things don't really get ramped up until they get halfway through, right? Although I will say, hey, what the Celtics are doing right now, Mark. Right now they're 33-12. Okay, and first of all, when you look at this team, okay, and they had drama coming into the season. You lose Udoka with all
absolutely.
that situation that happens, and so they promote the assistant coach who didn't have any kind of experience like that, and off they went. Why? Like, what is this team about right now? Why are they winning so much and having so much success?
Well, Chris, I think they for last year they bought in and they caught fire the second half of the season, and they just picked up where they left off. And I think the kid Mazzulla, Chris, is a good motivator. He's a good communicator. No, he doesn't have the experience X's and O's wise that Udoka had, but he's a defensive guy. Mazzulla was a good defensive player in college, and he played at West Virginia for Bobby Huggins, who was nothing but defense. So he knows defense and he understands defense, and that's been their calling card, Chris. They've been playing good defense. They've been moving the ball around, good ball movement. They've been getting bench scoring. If Robert Williams can stay healthy, Chris, and you got some new pieces. You picked up the kid Brogdon, who's been a key. White has been playing really well. As long as they can stay healthy. I know Jaylen Brown's been banged up a little bit. I don't know if he's playing tonight. He might be out again tonight. But they seem, Chris, to be in rhythm a heck of a lot earlier than they were last year, obviously. But I think they're the team to beat. They're the team to beat. They right now are I'm not at number one in the East. I think they're number one in the whole NBA. They're the team to beat.
All of NBA,
all of basketball, right?
And they're clear by about 4.5 games as they are in their conference. Look, is it so? Because when I look at this, a lot of the knock last year is Tatum. Tatum. The moment got to Tatum in the playoffs and the finals. Is he going to be that alpha guy? Is he going to step up, be a leader of the team? Could the situation with Udoka, and I'm talking about not the situation, but the fact that he's gone, do you feel like that was a blessing in disguise in the sense that Tatum now is taking on that role, Brown too, of saying, "Oh, I got to lead this team now."
No, I agree. I definitely agree, Chris, because I think, listen, this is a players' league, right? And you always hear these analysts say to you that coaching in this league isn't necessarily the thing that gets you to a championship. You got to manage egos and do those types of things. And I think Mazzulla's good at that. I think, it's a players' league. And I think with Udoka leaving the way he did, you're right, Chris. I think Tatum kind of stepped up and became more of a leader and said, hey, we're going to be all right, guys. Just take my lead. We're gonna win this thing. And I think losing in the finals, Chris, might have been a good thing for them last year because I think it made them hungry. It gave them a taste and it made them hungry because I think they realized they should have won it last year, Chris. And I think they're pissed that they didn't win it because they had a couple of bad games there, but they should have won it last year. And Curry just took them to a different level. But Tatum's pissed. And Brown's pissed too.
He's very aware of Tatum's very aware of his performance in that finals. Look, Tatum's very aware of a lot of things. Now, we could criticize a lot of the old school people criticize and say, he wants the MVP too much. He wants to score 50 too much. He wants to hit that 40 mark and stays on the floor too much. Look, here's how I look at that. If Tatum's scoring 50, if he's winning the MVP, if he's scoring 40, then you're winning. Then you're winning. So what the hell's the difference? Now, if he's going for these things, at the detriment of his team, the chemistry, forcing it, much different. But Maki's not doing that. You'll see games. There was a game the other night. I can't exactly remember who they played, but it was a game the other night. he wasn't on. I think he scored like 20. I mean, we say 25 points like it's, nothing, but he had like a double-double in this game, a lot of assists, a lot of rebounds. So he's making an impact no matter what. No matter what kind of shooting night this guy's having, he's making the impact as a leader should. And you know what? All of the scoring, I don't care. He's aware of it. They asked him the other night, did you realize that you were at close to 50? And he said, yeah. He goes, yeah, I realized it. But, the last year when I did this, he had a veteran player say to him, he chose to pass off and come out of the game. And the guy said, hey, you're that close. Go get it. Go get the 50.
Of course. Listen, I have no problem with what he did the other night at all.
No problem with it as long as he's playing like this. And Jaylen Brown, and I agree with you with the benchmark. I mean, Brogdon, he's averaging 14. The implement, and I would love to see what they would be like with Gallinari. But
I know, right?
But to me, Mark, I think they're the best team in basketball.
Yeah, I do too.
But are they the best? Do they have the most talent? Are they the most talented team in basketball? I say yes. Looking at across the landscape of basketball, to me, I don't. We said last year Minnesota. Okay, not Minnesota. Milwaukee. We talked about Milwaukee and we said, yeah, they're right on par. If Middleton was back in, they don't win that series. I don't think that way anymore. I look at both of these teams
this
top
year.
to bottom.
I don't think so this year. Last year, I would have said yes. Not this year, Chris. I think they're the best team in basketball. I think they're the most talented team. And if they can stay healthy, I'll be shocked if they're not the NBA champions.
Right. And so we'll see. We're going to pay attention to this all season long. And on the flip side, we talk about, are they the most talented team or are they the best team? Looking at, and by the way, just real quick on the Celtics, even though they're this good, they can stand. They're talking about getting that, maybe trading for that center from San Antonio.
They could use him.
They can do it. Why not? If you're in this position, you go get what you need to finish the job.
Yep.
And on the side, talking about the Bruins real quick, same situation, Mark. They're leading, by a lot. I mean, they're the best team in hockey by a lot. I mean, they got 72 points right now, and the Carolina Hurricanes are next with 62, and they play 43 games. This is not just a coincidence. This is a trend. This is what they are. It's consistent. And to me, this is different than the Celtics. This team, to me, is not the most talented team in hockey, but they're the best team in hockey.
Does that catch up to you in the playoffs? Does a team that's more talented catch fire and beat you? Because some of the things you did in the regular season, you can't compensate for if it's not happening in a 7-game playoff series. Does that catch you in the playoffs is my question.
Yeah.
We don't need to answer that today. I'm just saying.
Well, real quick, I would ordinarily say it could. But, Mark, when you have as much as they have going for them, they got the best goalie. They got one of the best forwards. They got probably arguably the best playmaking, one of them. Okay. One of the best.
What about the
defensemen.
defense, Chris?
Could they use another big body? Yeah. No, but I think the defense is playing great. I do. I think guys that have stepped up. I think injuries have been a little bit of an issue. But again, Grzelcyk, McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, which is why I think they should go out and get a guy that they're talking about, like Lou Shen from Vancouver, to be that guy that can come in and just be a powerful guy. So, yeah, I think they're the best team in hockey. I think they hit head and shoulders above everybody else. And I think it is sustainable in the playoffs because they're doing it in such a variety of ways. They check every box in every aspect. No, they're not the most talented team.
I'm more confident.
Carolina's still, teams like that.
I'm more confident in the Celtics winning it than the Bruins. I still got to see. I want to see the big defenseman come in, the Lucien. I want to see somebody like that, Chris, come in at the trade deadline, and I'd feel more confident. If you got to face a team in a 7-game series that has actually more talent than you, I would feel a little more confident. But you're right. Right now, they're the best team in the league by far.
Yeah. So we're going to track that all season long. And, Joe, we know you love that. We're going to track which team is a better chance to win a championship, the Celtics or Bruins. And we want to hear from you in Heated Hotline on that. Which team do you think has the better chance to win a championship? So we're going to get to that, all that and more. And listen, Corso and Catone was presented by Special Sauce. Look, guys, this thing, time flies, doesn't it, when you're having a lot of fun like we are,
Wow.
And we know everybody out there is. But we're presented by Special Sauce Podcast. What's your special sauce? specialsaucepodcast.com. Listen, get on all week long. Look at our shows. They're up for you on YouTube. They're up on iHeartRadio to you listen, watch. Hey, participate. Give us a call on Heated Hotline. Subscribe. Give us that thumbs up. Follow us. And make sure you come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk NFL playoffs, division rounds. Start talking about the NFC and AFC championship game. Bruins Celtics, like we just talked about, will continue from there. And, of course, Catone's comments. Stick around. You never want to miss that. And your Heated Hotline calls. Anything you bring to the table, we will be ready for it. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Find Corso and Catone on iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever you podcast. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Corso and Catone, and catch the chaos at 7 p.m. on Saturday.